Hello and welcome to the Dark Reading News Desk, coming to you from Black Hat USA 2025. Next up, we are joined by Andres Riancho and Hillai Ben-Sasson, security researchers with Wiz, who are here to give us a peek into their new research, Breaking Out of the AI Cage, Pawning AI Providers with NVIDIA Vulnerabilities. This is a big deal, you guys. Welcome. I'm really glad that you're here to tell us about this.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
All right, I'm going to attempt to give the backstory. Stop me when I'm wrong, okay? AI pretty much exclusively is running on these NVIDIA chips. And sort of the worst case scenario is that a massive vulnerability will be found that can take down potentially every AI tool in the world. Is that right?
That's right.
Guess
And we found
what?
that.
You found one, right? All right. So before we all head to our bunkers, our disaster bunkers, tell us why you decided to look at this and what you found.
All right, so no need for bunkers because we reported the vulnerability and it's fixed, so that's good.
Okay, so no
That's a good start.
No bunkers, okay.
But yeah, essentially, after doing a lot of AI research that we've done lately, our team, founders and I, we looked into all these, AI providers and AI projects. And after a while, we started thinking, like, what if there's something deeper? Like, what do all these things have in common?
Yeah.
And the answer, like you said, is NVIDIA. NVIDIA is everywhere.
Practically a single point of failure for
Exactly that, right? Everything runs on NVIDIA GPUs. Everything runs with the NVIDIA libraries that is used to work with these GPUs. And essentially, we were able to find this one library, NVIDIA Container Toolkit, where if you build a container and you want to use GPUs, you pretty much have to use it, right? So once we were able to find a vulnerability in there, a container escape vulnerability that allows us to escape every container built with this library and escape to the underlying host machine. This vulnerability pretty much affected every single cloud provider, right? Because everyone that offers an AI service builds it on this library. So it's like one vulnerability that allows to escape from all clouds to the underlying cloud machines.
And the impact is huge because after you escape from the container, you can get access to information on the host that might be for other customers that are running in the same operating system. And you can also use information from the host in order to escalate privileges to other systems in the same network. So it's a critical risk.
And sort of worst case scenario, it's more than just data exfiltration. You can actually, through this, theoretically, through this vulnerability, you could go in and do real damage, right?
Right, because once you escape to these, underlying hosts, these are machines that you're not supposed to access, right?
Right.
When you have these cloud providers, they give you this promise, right? Like their fundamental promise is we have lots of customers. You're one customer. There's all these other customers, and your environment is isolated by all these technologies. So once you're able to find a vulnerability and basically break this sort of isolation, you're suddenly getting access to other customers' environments as well, right? You can read sensitive data. You can manipulate sensitive data. Depends on the specific use case, of course, but in many cloud providers, we were able to prove that we had access to other customers, AI models, private source code, cloud secrets, sometimes the ability to not only to read, but also to actually interfere with the data, right? So this is really like kind of breaking the most fundamental building blocks and also the most fundamental promise that these services give.
And also some of the most valuable proprietary information probably that exists today, right?
Sure.
With these emerging AI models. So pivoting from that, I would like to know sort of what your sense is. I think that there's a real consensus that we aren't probably doing enough to check the security of AI because there's a fear of stifling innovation. Do you think that's fair? There's a lack of attention on that?
Yeah, I think that it's a thing with the maturity of all the tools and systems that are used to build AI services. We've had Nginx and Apache systems for 2 decades or more. And all of these new systems that we are implementing have 2 years, 3, 4 maybe. So you're going to be finding vulnerabilities in those new systems at a rate that it's not comparable to the other more mature systems. Also, the new systems, people don't have experience on how to set up that. That's one of the things that's happening today. And of course, it's a product velocity against security thing. And
Which isn't a new argument for you
No.
guys. I mean, the security
Always is, right?
right.
Yeah, and at least for now, product releases is winning against security.
Sure. Let me ask you, let's get into a little bit about the disclosure process. How did you find NVIDIA as a partner in this, and how did they react, and what was their timeline like?
Right. So NVIDIA, the NVIDIA security team was obviously very cooperative. We worked together with them in order to make sure that, once again, this is an open source project, right? So
Sure.
to make sure that this disclosure is coordinated, that everyone has time to patch accordingly, and of course, because this is such a high risk vulnerability, then there's all these different cloud providers, and they have to patch it on time because we don't want to cause any chaos, right? So we worked both with the NVIDIA security team and also with pretty much every single cloud provider, right, to make sure that this disclosure is coordinated, to make sure that the release gets everywhere on time, and that there is no mayhem when this vulnerability is publicly disclosed. And yeah, we're happy to say that we have made both the NVIDIA project and also the general cloud community safer, thanks to the collaboration of all these teams. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to work with these guys.
What was the moment like when was there a moment where you could see them realize what you discovered, and how serious it was? I mean, how much convincing did you have to do about the veracity and the importance of your work?
No convincing needed. We were not face to face with them when we reported the vulnerability, but we can imagine their faces.
Right.
And we were actually face to face during a second vulnerability that we reported to NVIDIA Container Toolkit, and they were amazing. They were like, this is great. The type of vulnerability that you're reporting, the second one, is also a container escape, is also critical risk. And they really appreciated our report and how we worked with them during the whole process.
All's well that ends well,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'd like to hear now, our audience, they are security practitioners in all different enterprises all over the world. And I'd like to get your thoughts on, with a major vulnerability like this lurking, and we know just on a numbers game that there are many, many more. How do you advise security teams to approach these aggressive, entrepreneurial, these have to be fast, but is there something specific to AI that'll help balance that more so than maybe other slower in velocity products coming onto the market?
Right. So I think there's two parts to this
Okay.
to this question. I think one part is remembering that with all this innovation that is incredible, right? It's
Yeah.
an incredible rate. Everything's coming up so fast. I think GPT-5 came out 5 seconds ago, right?
Right, yeah.
It's crazy, incredible innovation that of times we're living in, and it's important to realize that these projects are still that they're still developing. They're still revolutionizing this every day.
Yeah.
And these are not mature products, like Andres said, that don't exist for 20 years. And it's important to remember that still. So you should isolate your things properly, right? If there's a very experimental technology that you're working with, maybe it shouldn't be directly connected to the most sensitive data in your environment, right?
That's
There
a good
should be guardrails.
Yeah.
And I would say also in the terms of our specific vulnerability in NVIDIA Container Toolkit, that it's also important to remember, the weakness of certain barriers, right? Like if the container is a security barrier, then maybe it shouldn't be because it's not a very strong security barrier. It can be broken in many different ways. We found 2 vulnerabilities already in this type of framework, so maybe you should have additional guardrails, right? So I think the answer, as always, lies in guardrails.
Sure.
Yeah. It's not a sexy answer, but the basics are important. Isolating things, making sure that your services don't get, by mistake, exposed to the internet. If you can get that right, you're 80% done. And then the remaining 20% is AI-specific things that you might need to implement depending on the use case, depending on your threat model, and the many other factors that are specific to that AI offering.
We've only had 10 minutes here to discuss this, and this is a huge piece of research. I recommend everybody check out. Where can they find out more about this?
So we have both things. We have our blog, wiz.io/blog. I think we try to constantly blog about our findings to make it as detailed as possible. And of course, our talk, our Black Hat talk, where we really dive deep into this research and some of the real-life case studies, some of the real-life cloud providers that were susceptible to this. So check out our talk and also check out our blog. We try to make it available on both platforms.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for stopping by to share this. This has been really interesting, and I can't wait to see what you guys come up with next. So we'll see you next year, I hope.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. This has been Becky Bracken at the Dark Reading News Desk from Black Hat USA 2025. Thank you so much for joining us.